I want to say a couple things about some of these centers real quick.
Okay.
And trading back. So I've heard a lot of people say, don't trade up, trade back in this draft. I think a lot of people are also feeling that way. Don't trade up. So that means it's going to be difficult for the Bulls to trade back because the teams that might trade up aren't going to really want to pay a lot to do that. So I think trading back is going to be a little bit of a challenge. I think trading up is possible, but I don't feel like, I really have to have any of these guys because any of them might just fall to me anyway. Yeah. So standing pat, I think makes the most sense here. But I also think getting back into the draft, maybe in the 20s where you can draft one of those centers, makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know how necessarily you do that, whether it's a Caruso or a Levine trade, or maybe it's just buying back in some other capacity, maybe moving multiple second-round picks or something like that and a player to get back in. To me, like that's where you kind of slide back and draft one of these centers. I think 11 is just a little early for, like, I really like Khalil Ware. I think he's going to be good. But I don't think the Bulls are really, we talked about this with Gafford, like they don't really have a point guard that can set him up. And I don't want to set him up for failure by taking him early, putting expectations on him, making it seem like he's got to be the center of the future, but now having him be a rim rolling, lob catching center that doesn't have anybody to throw him lobs. Wow. Yeah. So that concerns me a little bit. Kobe obviously improved there, but like I think the Bulls had the fewest dunks in the league last year. So like you don't just like get more dunks by getting guys who can dunk. You have to like put those guys in situations. And so maybe that's like why I really liked Topic before the ACL. It was like now that unlocks a lot of potential for you to now come back into the draft and get a guy like a Khalil Ware or Yves Missy or Deron Holmes, guys that can catch lobs. Because I think the Bulls have just for so long been in this position where they don't really have a true point guard. And I'm not saying they need like a Tyus Jones table setter, but they need somebody that can put pressure on the rim, and that's a very good passer. Yeah. And right now they don't have that. And so to me, that's the priority. I think Devin Carter can be okay at that. So I wouldn't be mad at that pick, but like Rob Dillingham, I think he's got flaws, but like that's his bread and butter. He is shifty. He can create a ton of havoc getting downhill because of the threat of his jump shot. And he's a very good passer. So like guys like that, I do think the Bulls should explore, and that's why like I've pushed back against this. Well, they've already got so many guards, so don't take a guard narrative, because they don't really have a guard who can create offense for other people. They have guys that can make the extra pass, but it's the same distinction between a shooter versus a guy who can shoot to me. So I think like some of these centers are really intriguing. I wouldn't reach for them considering who the Bulls have, but if you can get a facilitator early and then come back in and get a pick, because I think, again, trading back is not going to really net you much. Maybe there's a team that wants to move from like 22 up to 11. And since that's such a big jump, maybe you can get something. But I'd rather see the Bulls get back into this draft where a lot of teams are not really putting a ton of value on some of these picks. You can get back in a little bit more cheaply than normal, but there are still going to be contributors in this draft. And so if you feel good about a guy, that's how I would go about doing it.
We all silly like the mayor.